Is cannibalism in the Bible? The short answer is yes and no. Yes, you'll find some of the hardest lines you've ever read. No, it's not what God commands his people to do. It's what happens when a nation hardens, justice collapses, and enemies lay siege. Stay with me. We're going to face the toughest verses head on. And at the end, I'll show you the most shocking sentence Jesus ever said, and why it isn't about horror at all, but something holy. Don't skip the last minute. Quick ground rule. We will be non-graphic, clear, and honest. The Bible doesn't hide human darkness. It reveals it, so you can see God's heart more clearly. Start with the law, the covenant warnings. Leviticus 26:29. You shall eat the flesh of your sons, and the flesh of your daughters you shall eat. Deuteronomy 28:53-57 paints a similar picture during a siege. People so starved they turn on their own. Why are these words here? They are warnings in a covenant. God says, if you walk in injustice, idolatry, and refuse correction, if you break the covenant, then enemies will come, cities will be besieged, supply lines cut, and humanity will unravel. These lines are not commands, they're a siren. Turn back now before the cliff. Jump forward to the history books. 2 Kings 6:28-29, during the siege of Samaria, records a horrific scene of two women making a deadly pact. The king hears and tears his clothes in grief. That's the point. It's meant to shock, to make you feel. This is what sin and war do to people. This is what happens when leaders harden, when greed and idolatry rot a nation from the inside. Now listen to the poetry of pain. Lamentations 2:20. Should women eat the fruit of their womb? Lamentations 4:10. Compassionate women have cooked their own children during the siege. Jeremiah is not coldly reporting. He is weeping. He is saying, look what our rebellion brought. The prophets amplify the why. Jeremiah 19:9 and Ezekiel 5:10 pronounce that this horror will come because the people refused God's ways, truth, mercy, justice, and the city would fall. Again, not command. Consequence, not God's heart. Human collapse when God's warnings are ignored. So let's name the pattern. When you see cannibalism in the Bible, it's in the context of siege and judgment, the gruesome bottom of a long slide. Corruption, idolatry, oppression, then enemy siege, starvation, and finally a society's moral lights flicker out. The Bible refuses to airbrush that. It shows the cost of sin in human terms. But what about God's heart? Read the law and the prophets together. God commands care for the poor, the foreigner, the widow, the orphan. He commands fair scales, honest courts, real mercy. He sends prophets for centuries saying, return to me. Do justice, love mercy, walk humbly. The hard verses are guardrails, meant to keep you from the cliff, not push you over it. What God commands is righteousness and life. What God allows when people demand their own way is the bitter fruit of our choices. Now, there's another line that has freaked people out for 2,000 years. This is the one that breaks the internet. John chapter 6. Jesus says, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. My flesh is true food, and my blood is true drink. People hear it and recoil. Many disciples left after he said it. Was Jesus endorsing cannibalism? Absolutely not. He is provoking a spiritual wake-up. He is pointing to a deeper hunger and a deeper union. Hold that thought. Remember the ark. In the Old Testament, cannibalism appears as the ultimate collapse under siege, a sign that sin devours us. Humanity devouring humanity. Love turned inside out. Now step into the climax. Here's the twist you've been waiting for. On the cross and in the upper room, Jesus flips the script. He takes bread and says, "This is my body given for you." He takes the cup, "This is my blood of the covenant," not to invite horror, but to offer himself. In John 6, he's saying, "I will be the food your soul needs. I will satisfy the hunger that drives you to destroy each other. I will pour out my life so you don't have to consume one another to survive." In a world where sin makes us devour, Jesus lets himself be broken so we can be made whole. Not cannibalism, communion, not gore, grace. Taste and see that the Lord is good. That's the meaning. Not literal eating. Union with Christ by faith, taking him into the center of your life, feeding on his words, his work, his spirit, so real that your character changes. That's why the early church gathered for the table. That's why Paul warns in 1 Corinthians 11 to discern the body, to treat Christ and each other with honor. The table isn't horror, it's healing for a devouring world. Men, here's what to do right now. 1. Refuse the devour culture. Online and at work, don't bite and chew people with your words. Bless, build, protect the weak. 2. Feed on Christ daily, Bible before phone. John 6 this week. Pray, "Jesus, be my bread today." 3. Practice communion living. Share your bread. Forgive fast. Make peace in your home. Bring someone to your table. Pray with me. "Jesus, the world devours. You give. I bring you my hunger, my pride, my sins. Feed my soul with your life. Fill me with your spirit. Make me a man who builds, not breaks, who nourishes, not consumes." Amen. If this helped clear the fog, type "grace" in the comments and share this with one friend who's wrestling with tough passages. Save this video for your next Bible study. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Comment "Amen" if you enjoyed this video. Bible Short Stories, signing off.